Bitcoin's an interesting level, and very close to it's actually on the 200-week moving average, and we've said that that was the target that we were expecting Bitcoin to fall to when we made the video at 123,000, saying that it was going to crash. I would say that in that video, we also were asking for 50K a Bitcoin, and we haven't quite got there yet. But the stars might be aligning here for a bottom and a rally. I think the important thing to mention is that we are not believers in Bitcoin constantly making new time highs. All again, we are still going to show some of the cycles on this video. It's very fascinating that, you know, the bull markets end up being sort of 1,000 days, and then the crashes end up being 300 days. So we'll show some of that as well. But going into that, I mean, yeah, any thoughts you wanna just share
Yeah,
there?
well, I think technically, if you, for any technical trader, Bitcoin is such a good trading opportunity, whether you're on the long side or the short side. And obviously, we've done very well on the short side of
Mm.
Bitcoin, but the 200-week moving average is a very important level, and anytime it's come close to it, it's bounced off it. If you look at back in February, it hit the 60,000 level and had a strong bounce from there. We're down close to 60,000 level again. Just
Yeah.
looking at the daily chart, it wouldn't be too surprising to see it. What you want to look for, I think, is some kind of double bottom bouncing off the 200 week, a double bottom on the daily chart, bouncing off the 200 week moving average
Yeah.
on on the weekly chart. So yeah, I mean, I think there's potential for a bounce. Also, if you look at sentiment, people are increasingly bearish on Bitcoin at the moment. And if you look at things like MicroStrategy, actually sold some Bitcoin, which of course
Mm.
the guy there, the seller said he was never going to sell Bitcoin, but they sold a small amount, only like $2 or $3 million worth of Bitcoin. I don't know why, but
It's funny that if anyone needs to sell anything ever, right, it does show that they're cash dry. So even just to a small degree, it is fascinating.
well, yeah, it
Um,
shows that the promise that they would never sell is worthless. So, it's something to watch out for. But as I say, Bitcoin, you can trade the technicals on Bitcoin, and that's what we're saying here. That yes, it may well, if it conversely, if it continues down and shoots through that 200-week moving average, that
yeah.
is very, very bearish. If that happens, I think the balance of probability will see a bounce. But if we don't see a bounce here, then watch out below, because if it
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
that
It's a good
200-week moving average, then it's not good news for Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, in 2022, it was 30% below the 200 weekly moving average there. We were calling for 50K originally and for it to get to where the 200-week moving average was at the time. But now we've got that higher, and the 50,000 is a little bit lower. So I mean, I don't know how much 30% is up from under there. That's 18%. So, I would say like it's quite easy to play. Like, yes, it's very bad. You could have some big entries here with some stop losses. And then as we start to curl back up and then maybe trade back above the 200-week moving average, then just having re-entering and having stops below the lows from there, and then just saying from there on, like that should be the bottom of the market. If it's not, that could be game over for forever. But I mean, what we've always said is, we're not massive believers in Bitcoin. We respect it. We respect the movement of money over borders, how cheap it can be. But the fact that institutions were getting in up here was just a telltale sign that where are these other buyers going to come from? And I think I'm still going to stick to the belief that I reckon we'll have some rallies, some moves, and some big moves, maybe even back up to all-time highs at some point. But I don't think we're going to have like I think the cycle's going to break. It's not going to do the cycle now where every time it gets to the 200-week moving average, it bounces all the time off of it. And I don't think, and then also the other cycle is every about 1,000 days. So the bull market's about 1,000 days, and then the crashes are about 300 days. So they're quite easy to predict, and we're very close to that 300 day mark. But yeah, I think we're going to just see some snake patterns moving sideways here. I mean, it could depend. I think you mentioned 80K. We've also got the 200 are now against us on the daily time frame, so that's at about 78, 80K as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So just
Yeah,
bear
that's
in mind
still
those
a
levels.
good
Yeah.
level, back up to the sort of 78K. That could be that's the next level to watch closely.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously we don't believe in cycles as much as other people do, but if we look at sort of these typically it's about 1,000 days to all-time highs. That's about 1,000 days from when that bull market started. And then the days when they crash, it's about 300 days to the absolute low. and that's 340 days there. And then from that time, from the absolute low up to the recent highs, it is fascinating that it is quite up to the highs there is about 1,056 days again, which is almost the exact. I think someone's done it to the exact day, but if you were working to the exact day, it would work, but it's not really an exact day thing. And then now, if we're looking for about 340 days from the high, we're looking at September for the bull market to start again, if you believe in cycles. I'm just saying that mainly for people watching who are such big believers in Bitcoin, but I still think, we're going to see some moves before then. And yeah, you have to be ready for that. And as we've said, looking on the weekly, I mean, here it could be doing a double bottom on the daily, on the 200 on the weekly. And we are at that level. But we have, since we called the top at 123K, said, 50K was a good target. But we are at the 200 weekly moving average at the moment. So this area down to 50 is something that I'll be watching very much so, and looking for a couple of green weeks and green days in the mix there before you start catching a falling knife. I think that's the key. Um, Even just as a trade, or if you're a big believer in Bitcoin for your long term or biggest average down. But yeah, that is
It's an interesting one to watch, and anyone that is into trading Bitcoin should be in the radar as a trade, both short and long.
yeah, the technicals are just too beautiful. Like it reacts even on the 15, probably go to the 15-minute time frame here. I mean, even if you're trading, for example, if you were looking for long positions on Bitcoin, gets above the 200, comes back down to it, bounces off of it there perfectly, and then up to from 61 to 65. I mean, that's a big swing move as well. Even when it fell through here, it's like a little bounce off 62 up to 63. So if you're day trading or swing trading off of the 200 on the 15 minute as well, it still responds to it.
Yes.
It is interesting. I mean, even in this zone here, as it got above it, resistance here, falling off of it, falling off of it, falling off of it all the time, then gets above it and then bouncing. It's very nice to trade, but yeah, we're not the same. I don't know how much you trade it, but you might not be as behind it as other people are. But yeah, it's still very fascinating the way it moves.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Although, actually, I mean, I know you mentioned the NASDAQ and how it trades to that. Recently, it seems to have broken the NASDAQ pattern that
Mm.
it often always follows. So that could be also a bullish sign too, if it's not just following the NASDAQ. But
As I say, there's definitely a little bit more bearish sentiment in Bitcoin, which counterintuitively can be bullish for
yeah, you
Bitcoin.
made a funny point about Peter Schiff before we started recording. The day he buys Bitcoin and stops being so bearish is when it goes.
That's when it goes to New York time highs.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's when it's completely over if he ever gets bullish. Right, he's not going to. I don't think he hates it, but yeah. But if he ever becomes bullish, then it's definitely over.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you very much, and some good content there for people to digest.
Thanks, Jack.